This is the Volleyball Coaching Wizards Podcast, covering everything coaching, motivated and inspired by interviews and conversations with some of the world's great volleyball coaches. To learn more about the project, visit volleyballcoachingwizards.com. Now here are your hosts, John Foreman and Mark Lebedew.
Hey, welcome to episode 5 of the podcast. We're doing something a little bit different with this episode and the one that follows. At the core, the Wizards Project is about coaching education. And a friend of both Mark's and I, his name is Ruben Wolochin. He's a coach in the German Bundesliga for the men's team at Buhl, but he's Argentinian in birth and nationality. And over the summer, he attended a clinic or a seminar that was held back in Buenos Aires, featuring, I think, 5 or 6 of the most well-known and respected Argentinian coaches talking on some different subjects. So Mark and I were able to get Ruben to sit in with us for a session and talk about what he saw and heard at the seminar and kind of surrounding that. The conversation went in a couple of different directions. In this first episode, the focus ends up being on kind of cultural differences in volleyball and in coaching as a result. And then in the next episode, we'll carry on with another subject that I'll introduce at that time. So I think you'll enjoy this slight deviation. Ruben's an interesting guy. Along with coaching in Germany, he's also coached in Finland and some other places. So his perspective and his accent will bring a nice contrast to what you hear from Mark and myself on a week-to-week basis. So enjoy.
Mark, John asked me what I found interesting at the coaching meeting we had in Buenos Aires.
Yes.
First of all, I would say that the most interesting thing for me was the amount of people that we could put all together on a Thursday evening, so a Thursday 5 p.m. in Buenos Aires, which was a full working day.
Yep.
People coming from all over the country, people who flew just to attend 3 hours conference. That for me was the first impact, or big impact.
You said it was like 500.
And we were 500 coaches, plus people into the organization and this and that. It was about 600 at least. And for me, that was unbelievable. And this is a part of the volleyball community in Argentina which is a kind of a seal of our community. People are really interested to learn, really interested to share, and that was for me the first and the most important thing for the conference. Meeting. He found it not interesting.
No, he's still here.
Okay.
I'm here. All right.
Then that was the first point, or the first thing.
We should say who was there. So
the six coaches who were there were, I will give it in order, was Fabián Armoa, the current champion in Argentina for the 5 last seasons. He was already at the final of the World Club Championship. They won the South American Championship, and and he's a really interesting coach on the way he's working. He exposes about a really particular topic they had, or they suffered 2 years ago, because the team was not a really strong receiving team, but very good in attack. So they designed a special way to play, taking care of how to play good when they were not getting receptions on system. And how they developed the strategy and how they developed the trainings, and it was very, very interesting. Of course, we need to take care that every man had 15 to 20 minutes, which was extended to half an hour each. So they were really compressed. They couldn't extend too much. Then it was Marcelo Mendes, the coach from Sada Cruzeiro, winning the last 3 Super Leagues in Brazil, and also he was talking a little bit more about team management, or how to manage superstars and how to keep giving input to get the winning track, or to keep on the winning track. After this was Raúl Lozano speaking about the planning with the young team into a really high level competition that he will face now in Poland, because I think the team he will be coaching is not a really experienced team. So he somehow explained what is he going to do with the team during the season. Then was Daniel Castellani speaking how to get, or how to develop a method on the trainings, considering that if you get a player 5 points, you have to let him reach 7 points, or to let him play like a 7 points player. And if you get superstar players, that how to improve them on small details, or how to keep them really highly motivated to compete on the high level.
Maybe, Ruben, maybe you can explain what you mean by 7-point players.
Let's speak about normal players or regular players who are not the superstars on every league. I can tell, it's not my intention, but I can tell our experience with TV Buhl that normally we have players who are coming into the professionalism, and we know that players are not ready to compete on the top level, but I think we would like to bring them to the next step. So that's what Castellani was somehow explaining. And then was Julio Velasco.
Well, sorry, I mean the what is a 7-point player? The origin of this idea.
The origin of the idea is, when you get a player on certain level that they are not really high level, what can you do to improve them, or to bring them to the next step? Let's say. It's not a 7 play. It's not the 7 points. It's just in a scale from 0 to 10. Let's say.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't. Now I remember that not everybody graduates the same like we do. So then the next guy was Julio Velasco. Of course, Velasco was talking a week after Argentina won the Pan American Games. So everybody was really, really happy about the gold medal in Argentina. And for me, it was really interesting the first expression of Velasco, because he said, okay, guys, we got the gold medal, but in Argentina, we tend to go really quick to the successful way. Don't forget that Brazil didn't go with the first team. USA didn't attend the competition with the first team. So we won. It's fantastic for our sport in general terms. It's fantastic for our team to grow. But we don't have to forget that it's still a really long way to consolidate the team into the best 10 teams in the world. And yeah, this for me, it is the main reason he is like he is. And then the last guy was Javier Weber. Javier Weber was talking about a comparison between the Argentinian league and the Russian league, and it was a really, really interesting 20 minutes or half an hour conference, because he pointed out interesting topics, how people in the two different countries approach the game, and he exposed a little bit about some statistics, about how they program the general work from the juniors, and was also a really, really interesting conference, at least for me.
All right, before we continue, because there's more in that, can you tell everybody who Javier is?
Javier Weber was the coach from Bolívar in Argentina, winning also 4 leagues in a row. He was coaching Argentina at the 1 or 2 World Championships, at the Olympic Games in London. He was a former setter from the national team. And yeah, sometimes I'm sorry, but I assume that people know all of them. And yeah, maybe we should give a little introduction.
Castellani and
yeah, I assume that everybody knows Raul Lozano, who was coaching in Italy for several years, coaching the Polish national team when they were second in the World Championship, coaching the national team of Germany, and then he's now going to coach in the Polish league.
Since we talked about the difference between the Argentinian and the Russian schools, how did Javier actually kind of define each school? Or
when he was working for Krasnodar, one part of his duties was supervising the junior structure. Even he was not full 100% involved, he needed to supervise. So there are few things very, very interesting from the Russian league. The first one is that clubs need to have a second team under 23 competing in their own league. I think in Poland, is it the same? Isn't it, Mark?
Poland, I think, is under 19s or under 20s. Okay. But it's a junior league that runs with exactly the same format like the league for seniors. So home and away, playoffs, they play like that. Okay.
So then the second libero in the first team has to be a libero from under 23. It has to be a Russian boy under 23, because they detected that there are lack of liberos. So the first measure they did was, every team has to be a second libero under 23 and Russian. And then the other thing he was telling was about the difference in between the service. That from the really junior games, from the really early junior games, nobody teaches the service like a float service. Everybody, every time, is playing with jump service. I'm speaking about men volleyball. Yeah?
Yep.
Perhaps in women volleyball it's different, I don't know. But in men volleyball, at every level, they play with the jump service, which makes the game sometimes not that much playable, because amount of mistakes or amount of aces. But at the end, it's pretty clear how they play at the senior level. This game of service, block, and no defense. So service and block, especially.
Yeah.
And the role that the attack has. So he was showing several statistics about how teams were playing with the jump serves. Mainly, they have a really huge tendency to play 1-6-1, so from 1 to 6-1, so using the whole, let's say, field to put the ball into the game, but really aggressive. It is almost a 60% on the Russian league, this stat. because he was making statistics from the whole league. And then it's somehow like they don't care where they really care the power. And from that point, also, how was the percentage of double plus receptions in the Argentinian league and the Russian league, which the difference is huge. In our Argentinian league, the power of the service is not at all, or is not comparable with the Russian league. So then there are more double plus receptions or perfect receptions, but the level of the game, it's a little bit softer if we compare with the Russian league. And then how they dominate the high balls in attack and so on. So for me, especially when we are working right now in Germany, we are not Russia, but we somehow have also big size players. For me, it was also really interesting the approach that the Russians have for the game.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is this decision to only teach the jump serve. Is this a decision of the federation or the national team coach, or this is a decision that every coach made for himself, and it's a big coincidence?
I think it is along the Russian volleyball history. Maybe we should research a little bit more, Mark. But it's somehow like, I don't know, in Argentina we start coaching mini volleyball from the overhead, and then we go to the baga. In Japan, for example, they were playing the other way around. But it looks like in Russia, everything related with the service, when the kids are starting to play, they start right away with jump service, which is more connected with the attack. And I completely understand, and somehow I agree, especially for men volleyball. Yeah.
Okay. And the second question, maybe I didn't hear exactly correctly, but you said they don't care where the power comes from?
No. They don't care where... that for them is not really important that where the ball goes with the service. It doesn't matter if they serve the whole game 6-1. Because they will get the aces anyway by power.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that actually fits in with some of the stuff they talk about just in general training overall, is that you should train speed, power first, and then accuracy second.
Yeah.
So if they're focused on the power, then that kind of fits the model.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So why don't you continue what you were saying about the Argentinian style as contrast?
Yeah, I would say that the Argentinian style is sometimes completely different. We try to take care of the ball. In attack, we are trying to make all the time clever decisions, not just smashing the ball anywhere, everywhere. Sometimes we would like to recycle the ball a lot. We try to play clever with the blockouts. And it was somehow, whoever was telling that they really don't care in attack. They go hard, high, and hard. And then, let's say, once the ball crosses the net, it's a problem from the other team to see what's going on. But the point is that they have to go hard, high, and hard. Something like that.
I worked with one player who played in Russia, and he said that when he played some different kind of shot, not hitting with power, that the other players in his team made fun of him.
Javier Weber talked somehow a little bit about Ngapet, the same.
Yeah.
That his teammates were not happy when Ngapet was doing shots. And everything has to be powerful.
Okay.
And that's it. And one thing, this is a beside thing, we have here one of our sponsors in the club who has businesses in Russia, and he once said something like, it's a different mentality, Ruben. We don't have to judge how the mentality is. They are really nice people, really clever people doing business very good, but they do it in their own way. And we are not the ones who need to change this. So it's part of understanding the mentality to be also perhaps successful working into that mentality. I don't know. I cannot judge because I only have my Russian last name, nothing else.
Me too.
Yeah.
In terms of Argentina, you said it's more, I guess, pragmatic in terms of trying to find ways to score, as opposed to just overpowering. And I'm guessing a lot of that with the Russians has to do with they're usually just bigger than everybody else, so they can get away with it. Argentina, you don't have the same size, you don't have the same population, so you've got a tighter base of players that you're trying to work with and just trying to maximize. Or is there, as you say with the Russians, is there something cultural?
No, I think that in Argentina, I would say that we have an interesting tradition as a sport, because volleyball is a pretty popular sport. Many people play volleyball. But it's very interesting what Velasco is trying to put everybody together on the same page right now, that he has done it all over every country, I would say, because he was working the same idea with Italy, after with Iran, these kind of things that we shouldn't put any excuse at the moment we play. Now they try to raise this idea that, okay, this is the team we have, this is a team that can produce good results, and if we excel on the skills that we can do or we can excel, we can compete against everybody. But before putting any excuse, we should excel on the things that we can be very, very good. So, which is also a very interesting, remarkable thing that he was bringing on the table, because it's very important to play against this kind of idea that sometimes we cannot win against Russia because they are just taller and stronger. Mm-hmm. We can win if we play good.
Yes.
And spending our opportunities or using the things that we can do better than the other teams. Because for sure we can do sometimes things better than the other teams. So if we look only the things that the opponent is doing good, we will never beat them. And I think we try, as a volleyball school, we try to use these things every now and then. That, okay, let's play, let's see what the opponent does, and then we will see if we have the weapons to go against.
This is a discussion, obviously, that the Asian teams have, and with the Japanese, they talk a lot about the lack of physical size. And I remember the last World Championships, maybe last World Cup, one of these tournaments in Japan, and Zorzi, who is obviously a disciple of Velasco, he made the same comment, or the same idea. He said that when Japanese are perfect in the things they are good at, then they can talk about then they should talk about the size. But
I'm sorry, Mark. It was an interview, or it was these interviews that he is working for the FIVB during the last World Cup, And he was talking that, in his opinion, when the Japanese team will improve their physical capabilities, not the size, if they would focus a little bit better the conditional training, perhaps they will also get some extra things that they are not working on it at the moment. Mm-hmm. And it will help even the size to compete more even.
Yep.
I remember because I was listening to this I don't know if it was not a seminar, not a conference, was like a reportage or something like that. And
yes, he does the
a report.
Yeah.
Sorry, my English. I'm trying my best.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. For show notes and more, visit volleyballcoachingwizards.com/podcast. Got an idea for a future episode or want to ask a question? Send an email to podcast@volleyballcoachingwizards.com.